You're single. So what are you doing in a family-friendly joint? Maybe you're cheating or something.
I never thought I would run into my ex-husband from 15 years ago while on vacation. It's none of your business. Don't talk to me if you don't have to.
Wow, really on a cheating trip. Her. Still doing that, I see. Good thing I left you. Poor thing. A 46-year-old cheated on wife.
He burst out laughing, and as I frowned in discomfort, two handsome young boys approached me.
Mom, do you know him?
Just someone from the past. He's a stranger now. Don't worry about it. My ex-husband was shocked to see me chatting happily with them, and his face was so funny that I burst out laughing. My name is Molly, 46 years old. I work as an occupational therapist in a nursing home. I live happily with my family of 4, but in fact, I am divorced. It was 15 years ago, just 2 years into my marriage. And it was on our anniversary too. My ex-husband, who's a year older, blindsided me with a divorce. I met him 3 years prior when I was just 28. Back then, a colleague at my workplace introduced me to my ex, named Daniel. He was a refreshing 29-year-old working in sales, just a year older than me. After several dinners and gradually getting closer, he confessed his feelings, and we ended up getting married. Initially, we were over the moon and couldn't wait to start a family. However, when we struggled to conceive, my former mother-in-law, Karen, persistently suggested we get tested, and we reluctantly agreed. Once it was clear there were no issues on my end, the interference began with suggestions for fertility treatments and increasing our intimacy, causing a rift between me and my ex. The immense pressure led to my irregular periods, and his late returns home became more frequent, with our conversations dwindling. One day, he came home smelling of sweet perfume.
You're always late. What are you doing out there? You're not cheating, are you?
I'm just hanging out with women. I can't stand being with you.
I confronted my husband about his cheating.
How do you think I feel every day? Your mother, Karen, not only calls me wanting grandchildren, but also shows up at our house to pressure us. You're never home, so her complaints towards me have increased. And now you're cheating? I'm losing my mind.
As I was distressed, my husband let out a huge sigh.
Is everything my fault? I'm mentally cornered too, you know. I'm sick of your gloomy face and the constant talk about kids. Don't think you're the only one suffering.
But that doesn't justify cheating.
I understood Daniel's point, but I couldn't forgive the infidelity. Then he scoffed.
As if you're not cheating too.
What?
Confused by the baseless accusation, I was puzzled.
The woman I'm cheating with told me. She said it's suspicious we don't have kids even though you're healthy, suspecting you're on birth control. Plus, she showed me a photo of you and a young man entering a hotel together. Are you going to deny it?
That's not me. I'm taking medication prescribed by my gynecologist, but it's completely unrelated.
I denied it, but Daniel wouldn't listen.
No need to hide it. I know you've been seeing other men. Let's just keep this facade of a marriage going. It works out for both of us.
He seemed relieved, but my head was a mess, only adding to my troubles. Soon after, he told me his mistress was pregnant.
Mom's thrilled about seeing her grandchild. You're no longer needed, so just sign the divorce papers. Now you can openly see other men. Cheated on wife.
Since my feelings for him had cooled, I simply agreed to the divorce. Afterwards, my ex-husband, clearly in a good mood, started babbling about his affair partner.
She's just 21, a college student about to graduate in 6 months. She's in the early stages of pregnancy, so her belly isn't that noticeable yet. Her parents were concerned about our 10-year age gap and her still being a student, but I convinced them that I have a stable job and can take responsibility. It was tense meeting them, but everything worked out perfectly in the end.
Without irritation, I only felt disgust towards him. Though I became a stranger to him, running into him like this plunged my previously joyful mood into the depths.
It's been a while. Try to smile a bit. Seriously? You are so uncharming compared to my wife. Hey, we've been a happy family since our divorce. Jealous much?
My ex kept talking, his annoyingly fresh smile making me even more irritated. Behind him stood a charming woman and a boy. Are they the woman and her son who caused our divorce?
Yeah. My son looks cute like my wife. Doesn't he? He's quite popular at school.
Watching him happily talk about them, I felt an urge to leave immediately. But I had reasons to stay, so I endured. I bet your mother is happy too.
Yeah. She's head over heels in love with her grandchild. So much it's almost troubling. I keep telling myself I made the right choice. Even got promoted to manager at work. Everything's going my way.
Behind him, the boy gave me a nod, while his wife glared. I get she's not thrilled seeing her husband talk to his ex, but if anyone should be angry, it's me.
Sorry for all the happy talk. Where's your playmate? Introduce me.
My ex smirked condescendingly. The people I'm with are too good for you. I prefer if you just left. As I coldly rejected him, he seemed oddly triumphant.
People. So you're meeting a bunch of guys. Planning some loser convention. How do you even have suitors at your age?
What was he getting excited about? And it's baffling how he's not embarrassed in front of his teenage son. You seem to be misunderstanding something. I'm just here on a trip. If you keep this up, I worry about your son's future.
Jealous. Just remarry and have kids if you're so bitter. Oh, but maybe it's too late for you. Pathetic. Really?
His son sighed and sat on a nearby bench, starting to play with his smartphone. Then the woman wrapped her arm around my ex's arm and gave me a sly smile. To an outsider, they might look like a happy couple chatting with an acquaintance, but she was clearly taunting me. Their unpleasant nature matched each other perfectly.
Concerned because she's the ex-wife?
He spoke to her with an eerily kind voice, and she shyly nodded.
She's nothing to worry about. Just wanted to share a bit of our happiness with her.
They started being overly affectionate, showing off in public, drawing uncomfortable attention our way. After the sickening display, he turned to me with a broad grin.
Were you watching us the whole time? You're crazy, you know.
Right back at you, doing this in a tourist spot with everyone watching. Your son seems to have walked away in disgust. I noticed their son leaving with a troubled look as they got cozy. Poor kid having to see that. I feel sorry for him.
Teenagers find it too intense. But it's normal at home. And he never complains. So it's probably fine.
Hearing this, I was truly relieved that I never had children with this man. He can't seriously say that. Think about his feelings for once.
It doesn't carry much weight coming from someone who's never raised kids. If you want children so badly, maybe I could let you borrow my son once in a while. You'd enjoy playing family, wouldn't you?
I raised my voice in protest to my ex-husband's outrageous remark. What are you even saying? What do you think your own child is? You do know that kids his age have rebellious phases, right?
So what?
They both looked astonished. It's perfectly normal to feel repulsed by parents' over-the-top displays of affection. He left because he didn't want to be associated with that. What do you mean? It doesn't bother him, or I'll lend him out. Don't treat your child like a tool. Show some respect.
Shut up, acting all high and mighty. But are you really that great? A woman who can't have kids can be played around with and then dumped. Just like when I divorced you.
Realizing arguing with the two of them justifying themselves was pointless, I decided to stay quiet.
Can't come back with anything. Her must have hit the mark. Meddling in someone else's family business is just rude. You know, we're happy. If you are thinking of messing with that, it won't end well for you.
What? I haven't done anything wrong. If anyone wants to take action, it should be me, right? As I glared at them, my ex approached me.
You were cheating too, right? It's all the same. You have no right to complain. Just be thankful I didn't ask for alimony. I've kept the photos from your affair, ready to spread them online, you know?
I felt sick with my ex so close. I haven't cheated. How can't you see those images are fabricated? Even your son, not being your own flesh and blood. Don't just blame me. Try talking things out with your wife.
What did you say?
Behind my ex, the woman's face went pale. Just then, I heard a familiar voice.
Mom, do you know them? You're too close. Could you please step back?
Two handsome young men stepped in to protect me from my ex-husband. Just someone from the past, but now we're strangers, so don't worry about it. Besides, how long are you going to keep Mr. waiting? Mom's getting tired of it.
What? What's this all about? Are you still unmarried and on some affair trip?
Again, the two handsome young men stood protectively in front of me, facing my ex-husband. My son's arrival threw my ex into visible disarray, and he blurted out something absurd.
No way. You're sugar dating. And with these young guys. Seriously messed up, dude.
What are you talking about? These are my biological sons. They're known at their school as the Miracle Twins because they are handsome, brilliant, and athletic. I placed my hands on my son's shoulders, and they gave me an embarrassed look.
Stop it. We're just normal middle schoolers according to everyone else.
But I don't mind. It makes me want to keep doing my best.
Their smiles reminded me of their father. Boys, say hello to this man and woman. My ex-husband still couldn't grasp the reality. His mouth agape.
I'm Jake, the eldest. I attend Prince Junior High School. My hobbies are reading and running early in the morning. And recently, I've also developed an interest in politics.
I'm Ethan, the younger one, attending the same school as my brother. I'm in the soccer team, and I'm putting in the effort to match my accomplished brother in studies.
As they greeted politely, whispers of what nice boys could be heard around us. Only my ex-husband's wife seemed displeased.
They attend a selective middle school, right? With high standards at that. And why are these kids so tall? Don't tell me you had hidden children before marrying me.
Mom, this guy is really strange. Are you sure you know him? Should we call the police?
Jake asked, clearly worried. Not surprising. This man is odd. Did you hear the conversation?
From halfway through, his voice was so loud, and that woman over there, her smile seemed fake. Ethan and I were worried you get tangled up with some weirdo because we were late for our meetup.
Ethan nodded vigorously next to his brother. What reliable sons I have. Sorry to worry you, but yes, I know them. Can you wait a bit longer? As my sons reluctantly agreed, they moved away from my ex and me. No hidden children here. I remarried and had them after. They might seem mature for their age, which leads to misunderstandings, but they are only 13. Like their father, they have kind hearts and strong wills. My pride and joy.
So, you were really just here on a trip? But where's your husband?
My ex looked around suspiciously. He had sudden work come up and is handling it remotely at the hotel. The boys wanted to visit a specific store, so we split up for a bit. I was enjoying my time until you approached, which ruined my mood. I sighed dramatically, and with a serious face, my ex said, "You're lying. You got dumped again, didn't you?" I couldn't understand why he was so keen on seeing me as unmarried. I wouldn't lie about such nonsense. Please don't say weird things in front of my sons anymore. As I glared, I noticed my ex's son in the background. Ethan spoke up, recognizing him.
That's the guy from the local public middle school.
You know him, he's their son. Ethan looked somewhat enlightened.
I see. He's older, but we got to know each other through club activities and practice matches. We've even exchanged contact information. We met during the last exam period, and he seemed really troubled about his home situation. He even texted me earlier, saying he was troubled by how creepy his parents were acting during the trip and wanted to go home. I never thought we'd be at the same place. Now I understand everything, knowing these are his parents.
This little brat. There's no way he'd talk bad about his parents. Stop spewing nonsense.
As my ex started yelling at Ethan, I stepped him back to protect him. As an adult, and as a salesman, that's no way to talk. It's embarrassing.
When I'm working, I put on a nice front. This is my private time. I can do what I want, right?
As I sighed, Ethan began to speak.
He told me that his mother is still seeing his real dad, wondering how long he has to live with a man not related by blood. He wants to apply to a nearby high school close to his real father, but it's too competitive. I wanted to support him, so I got some past exam papers from my friend, and Jake, already mastering middle school subjects, has been helping him as a tutor, right, Jake?
That's right. His feelings are genuine. But I heard that you guys are not allowing him to apply to that school, especially opposed by his mother. Can't you support him in his pursuit of freedom?
Moved by my son's efforts I was unaware of, I felt touched. When I looked at my ex, he was frozen. It's understandable. In the conversation, a shocking truth had been revealed.
His real father. What are you talking about? I am his parent. If you keep up these lies, I'll sue for defamation. You agree, right? You can't let these absurd accusations slide?
Seeking agreement from his wife, she was visibly shaken and anxious. And it seemed he finally caught on.
Are you kidding me? You're saying their story is true? So you tricked me into marrying you? That's outrageous.
No matter what you say, that woman won't open her mouth. You kids should go to him. He must be feeling lonely by now. The boys nodded and ran over to my ex's son. So, where should we start?
What's the point of talking to you? You don't know anything. I'll make her talk one way or another. Just take your kids and leave. You're a nuisance.
Doesn't he consider moving away himself? Just like 15 years ago, you're being duped again. Maybe you should know what I found out after having it thoroughly investigated.
Fine. Let's hear it then.
Finally willing to listen, I began to explain quietly. After our divorce, I couldn't let it go and had a detective look into it. Turns out, that woman was dating another man, and you were just the affair. It was impossible for you to have fathered her child.
What? But she told me she had no boyfriend.
It was absurd from the start. A married man and a college student. Because it's impossible for you, who ain't got no seed. She was already pregnant by her boyfriend. That became clear quickly.
Wait. Wasn't it your issue? I don't have any problems. I'm perfectly healthy.
He always assumed it was my fault, never wanting to hear his own test results. Even if he's shocked now that he knows the truth, it ain't none of my business. If you think I'm lying, I'll send the results to your family home. Check for yourself. Want me to send a copy of the detective's findings too?
No, don't. That would upset my mother. If what you're saying is true, why did she marry me instead of her boyfriend? They could just be together and raise the child?
He was right. I thought the same. Her boyfriend's family is wealthy, and he was set to join his father's company. Getting her pregnant in college and marrying her would have disgraced his family. They strongly opposed it, refusing to allow the baby to be born, and paid her off. Desperate not to give up on their child's life, they used you.
I'm such a fool. Your story implies she's still with that man, and I was just played by them both?
My ex choked on his words, overwhelmed with frustration. His wife watched silently.
But being with me for 15 years is like letting a child see his parents? Right. It's like agreeing to let a child see his parents after a divorce.
When he sought confirmation from his wife, she shook her head apologetically.
Seriously, you could at least nod along to save the trip. It's all ruined now, all because I ran into you again. You jinx.
Don't blame me. You kept bothering me despite my efforts to keep my distance. It's your own fault for not trying to connect with your son, even if there was no love left. Legally, you're still married. As I spoke firmly, his wife, oddly enough, started crying. We looked like the villains.
You're right. We are married. So I can't forgive you for making my wife cry.
What? What was this man going on about? Normally, he would blame his wife and apologize to me.
I'll pretend I didn't hear any of this and still sue you for defamation.
That's ridiculous. If you don't want to know more, you should have a proper talk with your wife. Despite my warning, he continued to rant. Over these 15 years, she had really tamed him, and I admired her for that. As I braced myself to reveal more, my husband arrived. My ex stopped in his tracks, his face turning pale. His wife stopped her fake crying and began trembling at the sight of my husband. You arrived at just the right moment. These are the people I was talking about before we got married.
Wait, why is our major client's executive here? Your husband is this man.
My husband was working for a large corporation, showing his skills as an executive. That corporation also happens to be a business partner of my ex-husband's employer. Realizing the potential for a broken contract, my ex quickly caught on. Look, my ex blames me for everything, even what his current wife does. If I go into more detail, you'll get involved too, but are you okay with me telling everything? When I checked with my husband, He nodded.
Why does it matter to an executive? I don't quite understand.
My ex suddenly switched to formal speech, making me want to laugh. These two are second cousins.
What?
My ex's expression turned to complete disbelief. And your wife initially used my husband because they are second cousins, which made marriage possible. Not to mention he's very handsome. My husband has a model-like stature and good looks. Even now, just standing here, he's attracting admiring glances from women. She immediately turned to my husband for a solution. Of course, he pushed her away, telling her to deal with her boyfriend right. I asked her, but she ignored me. It doesn't matter if you deny it. He's a witness. The real father of your son would confirm it too.
Why did you continue the contract with our company knowing this?
My ex asked eagerly. Don't involve my husband. It's strictly business. You should understand that, which is probably why you've remained at the same level all these years.
Getting all high and mighty just because your husband showed up, huh?
He retorted with respect in his tone, but glaring at me.
Don't trust her. She's self-righteous because she used to gallivant around when she was married to me.
Persistent, aren't you? My mental health suffered because of you and your parents, leading to my irregular periods, and that's why I was medicated, not for contraception. If you doubt it, check the medical records from that time. I visited the doctor because of the boys. Maybe the medical chart is still there. It doesn't matter what you say. I've told my husband everything. Just get out of our sight. As I stood firm, my ex was flustered, and then the boys returned.
Mom, he says he'll have a proper talk with his parents, so let's leave it at that for today. Too many eyes here, and someone might post it on social media. He said, since my parents can't be relied on, I'll handle it myself.
Jake relayed this to me, then turned to my ex and his wife.
From a child's perspective, I can't stand the thought of living with parents who harbor such big lies. Don't underestimate him because he is a child. Please support him.
Jake glanced and winked at their son, displaying his charming nature. I chuckled at my son's smooth-talking personality. He really takes after his father. We've let our children speak this much. We've failed as parents. Reflect on that, and you two should have a heartfelt discussion. With nothing more to say, our argument ended. Later, I heard from Ethan and my husband that my ex demanded a divorce, leading to a heated argument with his wife. Neither would budge, resulting in a stalemate. Their son went to his biological grandparents' house and revealed everything. Then, it really pissed off his biological grandparents. The wife and the real father were scolded severely. Then my ex was called in, and their divorce was finalized. The real father was disowned for deceiving his parents, and the boy was taken in by his grandparents. Although he couldn't live with his biological father as he wished, thanks to his grandparents allowing visits, he got to see his real father more often than before. And he is being raised as the heir instead of his biological father. As for my ex, he was pushed down the stairs by his wife in a fit of rage and taken away by an ambulance. His wife was arrested on the spot by the police and ended up in jail. My ex, having suffered a head injury, forgot about his wife and son, but somehow remembered me as his wife and tried to take me away after being discharged.
Why'd you leave my side? Don't go messing with other folks' households. Come back to ours.
When he tried to take me forcibly, my sons who came back from school reported him to the police, and he was detained and placed under psychiatric care, being hospitalized at a hospital under police jurisdiction. As a result of this incident, he was fired from his job and abandoned by his parents, leaving him isolated. As for me, I continue to live happily, supported by my loving family. Had my sons not been home at that time, our current peaceful life might not have existed.
Mom, is breakfast going to take much longer? Can I take a shower now?
That's not fair, Jake. I want a shower too. I'm sweaty from running.
In front of me, my considerate sons and my smiling husband made me feel grateful as I prepared our family meal.